That's what I need. I need a little of this folklore. That will make everything better. See? It was shimmer. That's all I needed. Shimmer, shimmer, shimmer. That's really all you ever need to make your day go better. Now if I can just get my link for tonight. How are you guys doing? Are you having a fantastic, terrific Taco Tuesday? I would like a Taco Tuesday. I don't want to make the tacos. I would like for somebody to come over whose name starts with the letter T and make tacos. Y'all could send that over. I'm going to be in big trouble with Alicia because I'm so logged on. Hey, y'all. Ma'am, I know. Can y'all just put like where you're from and what the temperature is? It was like 60. That's what I'm talking. It's cold if it's in the 60s, right?
You have to connect to audio. There it is.
Do you see where I live? Shannon's talking to herself.
No, she's talking to me.
It's just you, Shannon. It's just you, Shannon.
Get out and get back in.
Yeah, Shannon, I have a brand new $17,000 million old person Android phone. How many of you guys, does anybody have an Android? If you have
Me.
yeah, all the cool kids have Androids. Let's just admit it. Look what happened with your iPhone 73 download. That wasn't good, was it? I'm like right at the place where I'm growing in my bangs and I'm just like, do I get a perm and like one of those little butterfly clips? Should I do that? Or maybe like the Dorothy Hamill cut? No. Neither one of y'all are even old enough to know what that is. Alright, let's do this. Let's do it.
Okay, so we have questions from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and emails, and the chat. So we are busy tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. As a special education paraprofessional, what is the best way to advocate for a student and families, but also still be able to support the team of coworkers if you believe something should be changed or isn't right?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I feel like, I don't know, Alicia, what's that answer? You tell me, Alicia.
Well, I think the best way that you can support your team is to make sure that they are properly trained and educated. So, and I don't, not in a disrespectful way. I was a special education teacher, and I ensured that my paraprofessionals were trained as they should have been, which the district did not do for them.
They didn't do it. Yeah.
So as a good teammate, I made sure that they had the proper training on what their responsibilities were under the law and how to best approach the students that were in my classroom, because I had ED students in my classroom.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of training as a coworker. And how do you advocate for your student? You always advocate for your student, even if you get pushback from your district. I would much rather you be upset with me for me telling you the truth than me buckle on what I know is right for my student. And I promise you, I had coworkers and district admin that were mad at me when I got to that table and advocated appropriately for the child, regardless on what they wanted me to say. But you have to come to the table with the truth, otherwise you're failing that child.
Amen. Hallelujah. Okay. That's why we put out this content every Tuesday night, because we want you to have the information. If we have right information, we can all choose to make better options for kids with disabilities, for sure. All right. What's next, Alicia? Shannon?
No, it's going to be me, ma'am. Shannon's coming up.
Okay.
Okay. Stop trying to
Shannon's got her eyebrow up. That's serious business. Once the eyebrow's up.
Next one. The parent of one of my autistic students is really concerned about him losing weight because he is a very picky eater and he will refuse or gag when presented with non-preferred food items. The dilemma we are all facing is that the particular therapist in their area only has time spots during the school hours, and mom and dad really do not want to take him away from academics. Since I am not an OT or feeding therapist, and this is not technically impacting his academic achievement, is it okay to just add century-style goals just based off of the parents' desires?
So it's a good question. We never talk about academic impact. Just take that and tear it, put it on a piece of paper, and tear it up. Let's stop saying that. We're saying educational impact, right? So if we do it at school, it can be addressed in an educational way. So if a child is having feeding troubles, I would first ask for a dysphagia evaluation from the district, and they can provide feeding therapy to the student during the instructional day.
Perfect. One is from Ash on Facebook. If a child has an IHP attached to an IEP and the school does not follow the IHP, can mediation and or due process be requested?
You know what's to be requested? You got a problem with me is what you're about to have a problem with. So an IHP, an individualized healthcare plan, is part of the plan, whether it's a general ed student, a 504 student, or an IEP, and we have to deliver the totality of it. So I don't know that I'm go straight to mediation or straight to filing. I certainly go to leadership in the district, the head of nursing for the district, and see how we can mitigate that and get the student delivered what we agreed upon.
Awesome. Is a child with the pacemaker for his heart to function, he was born with half of a heart, considered a medically fragile child?
So medically fragile is based upon the severity of the child's medical condition, and that would be under the directive of a doctor. It depends on the acuity of it. I'm not a physician, so it would be based upon the letter from the professional and their input in the committee's discussion.
Perfect. And then this one was a sweet question that we got from a student.
Aww.
She emailed it in to you. She said, I cannot seem to pass my English 1 star, and I'm very stressed out, and I just wanted to know if you could give me some tips on it. They say if I do not pass it, I cannot graduate.
So we love you, and they're liars. All right, thank you. Yeah, they're liars. If every child that didn't pass a state test didn't graduate, we would have thousands of millions of hundreds of thousands of kids at high schools. So there are kids every year that don't pass state tests, whether they're general ed, special ed, or 504. So as a special education student, we take the state test because we're required to, and then we decide as a committee, would it be purposeful, meaningful, or a likely improvement if that student retook it? And almost always I'm going to say no as their advocate. We took the test, we did our best, and let's move on. But passing the state test is not a requirement to graduate. That is a lie perpetuated by unfortunate leadership at your school or state.
Perfect. And then, who can legally look at a student's special education file? Can the case manager?
Anybody that has an educational need. So for instance, if you're hiring me and I'm your advocate, part of that form that you would fill out would be an ROI, a release of information, indicating that I have the right to look at your child's educational file because I have an educational need because I'm representing your client. So certainly the case manager would need to look at the file because they're the one in charge of making sure the conformity of the IEP that we talked about is agreed upon and delivered, and that information is disseminated to all team members. Okay.
Your child doesn't get his services
for
an entire week.
It just went. So she's going to say it over again in English.
What do you do when your child doesn't get his services for an entire week?
I pull up on the curb and lay on the horn until the principal walks out. So I just reach out to the principal and say, it looks unfortunate that my student's individualized education program was not delivered this week. Will it be rectified immediately? And then based upon that response, I would take next steps. If it's not going to be rectified, if it just is what it is and you get what you get, you can't throw a fit, then I would probably consider filing an OCR complaint, failure to implement the IEP.
If you suspect a child needs services as a teacher, how do you go about that with parents?
So the teacher has an obligation because they're part of the LEA, the local education agency. So child fine 300.111 in the federal code, which is the foundation of special education, says the district has a duty to ILE, identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education and related services. So if you were that teacher, it's your duty to refer it to the team at your school that would look at those testing options.
OCR has agreed to investigate retaliation, but dismissed discrimination claim. Claim was addressed with state complaints. Would you refile discrimination with OCR?
Well, if they dismissed it because it's addressed, you would have to have a new discrimination allegation. So it's very important that when you're looking at accessing your option of 2 dispute resolution options, that you do them in the proper order and that you understand which entity covers which areas. So state complaints cover state issues, so state code, state statutes, IDEA. OCR covers Title II, ADA, and 504, and specific concerns, how those show up inside of an IEP.
Why can't the paras or TAs go to meetings since they know the kids the best?
Because all that information will be given to the committee. We don't want that, do we?
Do schools have to keep data sheets for a certain amount of time?
Not that I know of. I certainly would keep them during the instructional time. Certainly, there's an amount of information that you should be loading up into open records. And that would be, your IEP lead, your ARD facilitator would tell you what that was in an instructional year. So certainly if I was an implementer, I would upload my method of evaluation for tracking IEP goals and accommodations so that it's in open records should parents want to access that.
Can SDI be provided by a general education teacher?
No, because they're not special. They're general. And I love general ed teachers, but that's their role. Their role is the general education teacher. Unfortunately, we require general ed teachers to act as a special ed teacher all day long and then deny children special education and related services. It's ridiculous.
Perfect. I am going to ask for a clarification. There's a few people in the comments that would like you to clarify what you meant in your video that we posted from your last live, where you said if a child is continuously hitting and harming the teacher, that you would call Child Protective Services. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so I mean the setting where that child is during the day is not being protected. A child that is allowed to not go with proper medical, behavioral, or adult support in the school setting is unsafe. And so when you are on the school premises, the school is to care for you. And a child that is that dysregulated, not only could they hurt the person they're hitting, but they could, hurt themselves or even break their own bone doing it with such force. So I would immediately call Child Protective Services, because obviously the persons at the school have not kept the students safe, meaning, I don't mean the teacher, but I mean the leadership.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to go back to our Facebook questions. We have one from an Angie. She said, my son is eloping and can be aggressive. He is in kindergarten. They lost him today, and they told me 4 adults were searching for him, but when my husband called for the information, they said I must have misunderstood. Currently, he's in general education with a push in 1 time a day and pull out 30 minutes a day. He does great during that, but clearly has tons of difficulty during the rest of the day. I have asked for an FBA, which they did, and we will discuss next week during his IP meeting. What can I do until then?
Pray, support the school. It's amazing how many of my parents have the condition of misunderstanding. I don't think I would misunderstand if somebody told me that 4 people are looking for my child. So I would certainly send an email and say, I just want to recount the events as I understood them today. You did contact me saying that 4 adults were looking for my child. I look forward to getting a behavior intervention plan and support team plan for him to be safe and to be able to access his curriculum.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Okay, just give me a second. I have to get something for my glasses. Hold, please. Everybody hold. Get a snack. It'll be 1 second. 1001, 1002, 1002nd. Look how good I did. Okay. You know, when you put lotion on your glasses and you rub it around, it really helps you see through the glasses. Said no one.
I think you should just put your festive glasses back on.
That one little white ball in the middle makes my eyes cross. I'm like, oh. Go ahead.
Okay. How do minutes designated for special education services work in a self-contained classroom that has multi-grades? And the one that they're talking about is K through second grade, autism level 3. How can my child be guaranteed those minutes for each subject when the teacher is responsible for 3 different grade level curriculums?
So that's a very good question. Oh, I can see now. So you are solely removed from your non-disabled peers. That's the amount of time that you're in special education. So certainly it doesn't mean that you have a one-on-one in that setting, but it's solely special education, teaching special education students. So the law allows for the totality of the time that you're in there with non-disabled peers to be counted.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yep.
I'm not reading this one because it has a state in it I don't know how to say.
A state you don't know how to say?
Correct.
Louisiana?
I'm going to go with it. Are you ready? No, I live there.
Oh, is it a state that doesn't have an R but you want to add an R?
Correct.
So she's talking about Washington.
No, not that one. The mass one.
Massachusetts.
That one. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm just going to make you fill in the word. Okay. I am a teacher in Virginia that has some knowledge of IEPs, but my brother is living in
Massachusetts.
and has a child with an IEP. He says the school is not following the IEP. What steps can they take moving forward?
So, I mean, you need specificity around not following it. So, I would call an IEP meeting. I would call a review IEP meeting and look at the effectiveness of his IEP and my child's progress. So, when I have a new client, I'm going to call a review IEP meeting to look at progress and to see if we need to make any changes. And so, while I'm in that meeting, we'll go through how I craft a PLAF, sit there and we will talk about who's providing what services. Is that successful? What's the student-teacher ratio? Do you think you need more support here? How's it going taking data? What are the outcomes? And you have that conversation in the meeting, but I don't think the IEP is being followed is a little too general, so I would certainly get in that meeting, certainly record, and then go from there.
Can a district deny a 504 for anxiety if the student has straight A's and no behavior issues?
Anxiety has nothing to do with getting A's. A's have to do with getting an academic output. You can have anxiety and be the valedictorian. It's the most ridiculous thing I hear every single day. So we give a student an IEP because they have a 504 because they have a disability. And based on that disability, they are in need of accommodation. So it's against the law in public school or in other settings as an adult if you need accommodations to deny that. That's under the 1973 Rehabilitation Act.
Child registered for school in October. District said they were looking for an appropriate program. She is still not in school.
What?
What would you do?
I would say, well, I would like to know, we need to have a meeting so we can look at out-of-district placement at the expense of the district. It appears you're not able to provide my child an educational product.
IEP meeting today. They say a service is expired after transfer from another district, so they removed it.
So it doesn't expire. It's not cheese. Whew. So services don't expire. So a child transfers from another district. We have to match those services in as much as possible for 30 days. In those 30 days, the new campus is then going to do any updated evaluations and see the students' present levels and any additional needs if we need to add something or remove something. But we don't just take it away because the 30 days is up. We have to have data to support all decisions that are made in the IEP meeting. So adding, removing, adjusting must have data to support those recommendations and those decisions.
Okay, this one is a question, follow-up for the CPS report a minute ago. Can you explain how you would word a CPS report for a student that is excessively hurting the staff?
Yes, there is a minor student with a disability in school, and there's not proper support for that student for his safety or others, and so I need to file a CPS report. And I would just say, let me just say this. As a human, as a mom, as somebody that has integrity, as an advocate, as a mediator for the family courts in Houston, I have a duty and obligation to report that the second I hear something like that. And I will. If I'm in a meeting and somebody said that, I would let them know that if you don't report that this within 24 hours, I will be doing that. If it was my client, I would report that. If it was a relative, I would report that. These children need proper supports. That child doesn't have the proper support.
How can one get an IEP when the student is not part of a district and is in a private school?
You can't. So an IEP is for students in school settings that receive funding from the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Those include but aren't limited to colleges, elementary schools, ECSE, post-secondary, vocational services, rehabilitation services, but private schools do not have an obligation to provide an IEP. That being said, I've got several kiddos who are in private schools, and those schools do everything they can to match a service plan, but they don't have any funding obligation, nor do they usually have the staff.
Can a case manager or teacher take away a child's accommodation as a punishment?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I should be punishing somebody now. A human cannot take another American's civil right away. So, no. It's a good thing I don't know where these people are, because I won't be doing a drive-by with like some 80s rock, like playing Welcome to the Jungle really loud.
I like it.
You're going to cut that part out, right? Like the part last week with and I have it, you guys. I have it. Here it is. It's the egg drop soup in a Yeti cup. I'm just saying. It's once you start, you won't. Tell me if any of you have ever had egg drop soup out of a cup. Don't lie. Don't lie.
Okay, all right, moving on. I have a student who is in 4th grade and functioning at about 2 years of age. Not 2nd grade, 2 years of age.
Yeah.
He bites, pinches, kicks, and hits my staff and myself multiple times a day. What can I do? I have tried everything I could think of. Do you have any suggestions?
So you have a 4th grader in your class as the functioning level of a 2-year-old
Yes.
in a general ed class.
Correct.
Well, he's in the wrong setting. So there's no way that he can understand the state standards. So we need to call a meeting, reach out to your principal to make sure that we're putting him in the right setting.
Okay, this one is a very professional question.
Okay, I'm going to sit up straight. Hold on. I'm sitting up straight. And by the way, nobody said anything about my jacket. I'm very upset.
Oh, it looks great. You feel better now?
Yeah, feel better.
Can we ask a very professional question?
Yes.
Okay, great. They want to know, what are your thoughts since the reauthorization of IDA 15 years ago? Has Congress's purposes been met, and what barriers remain as a special education administrator?
What? So it was 20 years ago, 2004. So allegedly there's a new reauthorization coming. So there is a report that you can get right now. It's the 43rd annual report of states reporting to Congress on their achieving their goals under IDEA. IDEA is amazing. It is not fully federally funded. That being said, we're not running low on funds at the state level for school children. So have they met their obligations? I don't know. I'm not an obligation police officer. But yeah, there's always work to be done on the state and federal level.
Amen. All right, my child has an IEP for reading fluency. We placed her in dyslexia therapy. Now they are doing OHI testing, saying that the issues are ADHD, not dyslexia. What do I do?
Okay, read that question again.
Okay. My child has an IEP for reading fluency.
Mm-hmm.
They placed her in dyslexia therapy. Now they are doing OHI testing and to say that the issue is ADHD, not dyslexia. What do I do?
Well, first of all, she shouldn't be in dyslexia. Reading fluency is not a characteristic of dyslexia, nor is it the same disability. So she's in the wrong setting. We have a tendency, thanks you guys for the love, we have a tendency to just throw everybody in dyslexia. There's 4 SLDs in reading: dyslexia, basic reading, reading fluency, and reading comprehension. The reason those 4 things have 4 different names is they're 4 different things. And so we are definitely drilling in the wrong place with your kiddo. That being said, it was very common for a child that has an SLD to additionally have a comorbidity of ADHD, inattentive, or hyperactive.
All right, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've had this question before.
Okay.
So issues in special education aren't new. It says, in my son's IEP, transportation is supposed to drop him off at our home.
Mm-hmm.
The bus driver refuses to come down because it's a one-way. However, the regular education bus comes down our road. I spoke with the head of transportation, and his response was, quote unquote, even if it's in the IEP, if the bus driver doesn't feel safe, she doesn't have to. What do I do?
If it's in the IEP, you have to. Actually, has nothing to do with staff members' feelings. What if I was doing your bit, but I didn't feel like doing it? And the fact that it can be done by another person with a CDL license is inexcusable. Perfect.
Can students be pulled from specials to receive their IEP service minutes, including dyslexia and OT?
We're going to try to mitigate the upset of the child's day. But certainly committees often agree upon different schedules based upon the totality of the child's instructional and or related services. So sometimes those are the only times that work. Certainly you wouldn't make that at a standing time.
Yes, perfect. Okay, have you ever heard of a school hiring the parent as the aide for their child?
Yes, I tell schools to not do that for 8 million reasons. Yeah.
Amen. I don't know that I could ever be my child's aide.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't be objective, right?
Of course not.
And we all think that our child deserves the BEST. BEST, is that a word? BEST. I'm a fantastic speller. I'm a really good speller.
Yeah, you're doing great. Okay. My son is in 4th grade with an IEP. Their eligibility is ID and speech. Mm-hmm. When his SPED teacher submits his grade to the principal, she will change them because they are not what he would be doing at grade level. She will not let him have higher than a C or a C minus because that is average. What are your thoughts on this?
You really want to know what my thoughts are on that? She's a banana head. She is a full-blown banana head. I don't know what the Hello Kitty she's doing. That's not district policy. That's not state policy, and she needs to stop it immediately. I would file a state complaint on that. I really would.
Amen.
Every child in the school has the right to earn an A. So, ugh. Don't tell me where she lives.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't.
Could we drive there?
I took all the identifying information out.
It's probably too cold for me to drive there now anyway, wherever it is. Even where Shannon lives is too cold. I'm like, whoa.
Yes. Okay. This one says, she was like, hi, I'm sorry to bother you.
You're not bothering me.
Our district and state, Alabama, makes it very difficult for teachers to find this answer. And I feel like it's very muddy and always, quote unquote, case by case. So the rules are different for each individual. I am teaching a multi-disability unit for 9 years. Multiple disabilities unit for 9 years. Over the past few years, this unit is going from 04 LRE students on the Alabama Extended Standards to students that qualify for the MD unit and
Lord.
students who qualify.
Sorry.
Ma'am.
I'm just saying I'm sorry she's going through this.
Oh, okay. All right. And students who qualify for modified curriculum.
Yeah.
This is making the already difficult unit, which has a shortage on paras, extremely difficult without moderate to severe students and modified curriculum. Is there anywhere that states if modified and multiple disabilities can be in the same room?
So I don't know there's a statement of that, but those kids have different needs, right? So you're in a setting where you're allowed to deliver alternative curriculum. There's medical needs that if you have to stop your class for 2 hours because somebody's having a bolus feed or a seizure, that wouldn't be what's expected for a child that is in a room that needs modified curriculum. So modified curriculum is going to be under 300.115, supplementary aids and supports, but we shouldn't be, I hate this word, lumping children together, but we do it a lot recently. I mean, recently, last 4 or 5 years, but that's ridiculous. Do you want me to drive there? I feel like is Alabama close to Texas? Is it between here and Mickey Mouse?
Yes.
Yes, I'm on the way. Does it touch Florida?
Yes.
Okay, the two people that are my moderators, they just looked up and went, and then they nodded. So I just want to say, it's not just me. Okay. I'm in, somebody said, what part of Texas are you in? I'm in the part that has 7 Talbots. I'm in Houston.
And Megan, in the comment, she said, I'm from Sulphur, Louisiana. What's a BIP? Girl, I know you don't know what a BIP is because in Calcasieu Parish, we don't do anything right. Mm-hmm. Okay, girl, I'm your neighbor. Right here in the Sulphur. I got you, boo. Anyways, all right, moving on.
A BIP is a behavior, what do you call it? A BISIP. Is that what y'all call it?
We call it a BSP, a Behavior Support Plan.
A BISIP, yeah. A behavior support plan, like a good pair of pantyhose. That's what it's like.
She said, oh, we have that. It's not working.
Yeah, a BISIP. Yeah. Oh, Miranda's in Louisiana. Hey, y'all. My daughter's in Homa. She took my grandchild there, abducted him. Her and her husband.
I'm going to get one more Facebook, and then we're going to hit up some comments, all right?
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. All right. I have a parent who is refusing to have her child do work in class. She only wants work to be sent home and tells her daughter to draw in class instead. We feel that the parent could be doing the work for her at home. We have tried to only accept work that is done in the classroom, but then we get notes from the parent, quote unquote, my child will not do work that is timed, has a deadline or a due date. As a result, the child is not passing for the second quarter in a row. What can we do as we feel the parent is preventing us from implementing the IEP?
Well, the parent has no impact on implementing the IEP. You have an obligation to implement the IEP. If it's a requirement and she can do it based on her disability, then you need to require her to do it. If she doesn't do it, you need to capture that data and convene an IEP meeting. But parents don't run the show. Principals don't run the show. Teachers don't run the show. The IEP is decided on by the committee members, and then we deliver it in the conformity agreed upon.
Is feeding therapy in all states?
Yes, even in New Hampshire. And you know who I'm talking about. I had a kiddo that needed a feeding assessment in New Hampshire, and she said to me with a straight face, I love people with their straight face, we don't have that in this state. I said, that's okay, you can do it private. She goes, okay, we'll get one. But nobody has feeding issues in New Hampshire? Come on, y'all. Can we make a shirt that says, come on, y'all, special education boss? Come on, y'all.
Absolutely, I'll work on it tonight.
Okay.
Once tested, is there a limit to how long results take? It's been 6 months.
So when you sign notice and consent, you need to say to them, what is the due date? You know, like when you find out you're pregnant, what's the due date? And so wherever you live, it's either going to be 30 school days, 45 school days, 60 school days for an initial assessment. For a reevaluation, there's no timeline under IDEA, but most states have some language around that, but none of them should extend past 60 school days. But make sure that when you do an evaluation that you say that day, hey, Shannon, I'm signing notice and consent with you. What is the due date? And then that way you can very quickly get the 30 days out from that on the books. And yes, we help in all states. All states, the state of confusion and the state you live in. Is there a state of confusion, Alicia?
Yes.
Okay.
A few of them.
Yes.
The team feels that my son needs to exit his IEP and now have a 504 plan. What do I do?
So we don't make decisions based on feelings. Feelings are fraudulent, and your feelings have zero intellect. We solely base decisions in special education or 504 on data, 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 data. So show me the data. You must have data to support your feelings. Otherwise, it's an opinion that can't be verified.
We have got a couple people who asked, how do I get an advocate?
Well, you would reach out to us. We have the best, amazing, bouncing, bountiful team of advocates. Are they bouncing? They're definitely bountiful. They don't all have hair as big as mine, but some of them are pretty close. So just reach out to Advocate at Special Education Academy, and we will get somebody to support you in your state.
Can self-contained students and resource students be in the same class?
So a resource setting is a setting of special education students with no non-disabled peers. So a self-contained setting is a setting in special education with non-disabled peers. There might be some overlap. Not all special education students who are in self-contained are solely in self-contained for the whole day. So Alicia was a self-contained behavior teacher, but some of her kiddos went to resource. So I don't think it's something awful if they coexist for a period of time.
What do we do? Let me rephrase that. So this is a teacher. How can we help a student if the student doesn't come to school?
You can't. So if that's the setting, I would certainly ask the parent to sign consent for in-home and parent training and try to see if those service options, if they meet eligibility, and that could be of help. You know, we can't make a child get out of the car. We can't make a child drag into the building. We can't come to somebody's house and make the child come into school. And so there's certainly supports in place for that. You know, we've seen an uptick of that, especially since COVID. A lot of mental health concerns have presented for kids that have much fear around coming to school. But if they don't come to school, they don't come to school. We can't implement the IEP.
Parent wants to observe student in self-contained behavior classroom. Is this violating other students?
So I mean, I'm not a fan of that. So it's sort of like me coming to your job. Why am I coming to your job? To tell you what you could do differently. I mean, let's just be honest. That's why the parents wanting to observe that. I certainly think a better option is to sit down with the team members and talk through what's going on in the classroom. What are the evidence-based measures that we can use to mitigate outcomes and see if we need to make adjustments. But here's the deal, love. If a teacher lets you come watch her classroom, it is going to be the best classroom day you've ever seen. So let's look at another way to partner with the school and help.
No progress reports or data have been sent home all year long, and it has been requested. How long does the school have to provide it?
The progress reports by law under IDEA must come home at the same time that other grades are issued. So it is a procedural violation not to do that. That becomes a substantive problem.
How do I go about requesting a one-on-one aid in a general ed classroom for my son with an IEP?
So I am not a fan, my love, of one-on-ones. So if you believe that your child should be in general ed, then I would be hard-pressed to support that he needs to be in general ed with a one-on-one for a number of reasons. That skews the data. I don't know what he can do independently. It brings the most attention to that student, and it sets up a classroom within a classroom. Even if he could have 45 minutes of support out of 50 minutes, that still shows some measure of independence. But other than nursing, I'm not a proponent of a full-time one-on-one. I'm very much about let's sit down and look at his schedule from the day the minute he gets to school to the minute he leaves, and see what are those minutes that he just doesn't need the whole time, all the time. And so I think when we do that, it's a better way to support a kiddo.
What happens if a teacher is not proctoring a test, even though it's on the child's IEP?
Is not proctoring a test?
Yes.
If it's on his IEP, you do it. It's not a discussion. So that would be an accommodation. That would be a violation of his civil rights. Those complaints are filed with the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. We did our first webinar on that, and we have our second webinar. We have our own. We've made up our own word, webinars. They're webinars and they're in parts. Is that good? You come to a webinar. we will show you and fully equip you. So we'll have our second webinar on what happens after you file the OCR complaint, Monday, December 18th at 7 p.m. Central. It's free to register. And if you want to register, just shoot us an email at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com, and we'll get the link. Do we already have the link? We feel the link. It will be there momentarily. You guys want to, like 400 of you came to the OCR webinar. It was good, wasn't it? Did you all like the OCR webinar? You did. You did. Mostly you liked my outfit? Okay, good. That's all that matters.
You looked beautiful. Yes, we will have the link ready to go tomorrow and post it on all of our socials. So if you email us, we'll get that information to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have a question that was submitted, but I think it's very similar to one that you just answered. So you let me know, and we can bypass it. But I'm gonna kind of summarize it because it was in an email.
Okay.
She is a middle school special ed separate teacher. Don't ask me what that is. She has a student that is refusing to come to school. She feels that this is a behavioral concern that is taking place in the home. However, the parent disagrees. The parents believe that school is stressing the child out. However, what they see is that when the student comes to school late, once the student is in school, they follow their schedule. They believe that the student is controlling the situation. As a school, we are doing everything that we can. Do you think a BCBA needs to go into the home and do a home assessment?
So there's no such thing as a home assessment, but you can do an in-home parent training evaluation or in-home training evaluation. You can also offer parent training and counseling, which is under IDEA, as it relates to having a child with a disability. The one person in the world we can't see is ourselves. And so there's probably some truth to what you're saying, and there's probably some truth to what the parent is saying. Good news is when the student does get to school, it seems like they're showing success. So let's try to build on that. And then Alicia, will you text my husband and tell him to stop squeaking the dog's toy? I'm not kidding. I'm trying to help the globe here, and he's squeaking that toy. Okay.
He's about to get an all cap sir from
Sir.
Sir. I hear it. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who this person is, but clearly they work with a student. I don't know if it's a teacher or whatever, but she says, I see a student at a time with parent support. One student at a time with parent support. One parent said that he requires a behavior therapist. We offered to trial it for 6 weeks. However, we've been struggling to find a company that is consistent. I've only had a behavior therapist in 3 out of the 30 sessions that we've had. However, he is still making progress. My director heard and said if there's no behavior therapist, then we need to cancel our session and make it up when the behavioral therapist is available. The mom is livid. She says it's a compliance issue, but she's also asking how the behavior therapist will make up the hours. The behavioral therapist hours are with providers only, so they can only be made up with the providers. I'm at a loss of what to do. Do you have any advice?
So I don't know what you mean by the word behavioral therapist. So there's ABA providers, which are not a requirement under IDEA. We certainly have behavioral specialists, behavioral leaders in our districts. So the language behavioral therapist is not a related service under IDEA, nor is ABA therapy. If we agree that a student needs something to benefit from accessing the general ed curriculum in his IEP, we have to deliver that. But I've never heard of a behavioral therapist. I think I might agree with your leader.
I believe my leader as well.
And somebody said she probably meant the behavioral technician. Yeah, I mean, if it's behavioral support that you have put on the schedule of services page, whatever that name is in your district is fine. It's just when you use the word therapist, it implies that they're a related or instructional service provider.
Okay, awesome. What is the law on schools taking away electives due to the student needing resource instruction?
It's not a thing. So resource would replace that content area. So if you need a resource for math, you would just go to resource math instead of general ed math.
Perfect. Courtney said it was not him. Chloe only squeaked her dog toy once.
It was my husband squeaking the dog toy, and she squeaked it 18 times. Blaming the pup. What's this world come to?
I don't know. Okay. So this one is from a foster parent. Her foster daughter has severe trauma, and one of her responses is she hides behind her hair. This has been explained to the school, and she was just informed that the teacher is doing her hair in class, and it is triggering her foster child.
What do you mean she's doing her hair in the class?
Yeah, like, so she's braiding it.
No. It's gonna be a no for me. As somebody from Texas, you don't touch our hair. Number 2, stop. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing everybody's hair? Ma'am. No, you don't touch a student. We already get in enough trouble as school districts. We're not doing their hair in school. What?
Amen. Okay. That's what I said when I heard that.
What?
And you know me, I adopted 3 from foster care. I better not touch my kids' hair.
Especially Harley's.
Exactly. Okay. I was wondering how detailed... Oh, this is a good one. Okay, you ready? Sit up. This is going to be a good TikTok video. All right. I was wondering how detailed the parental consent form should be prior to the initial evaluation. I thought I read in the code somewhere that it should list the type of evaluations that would be performed, but the one that I got was extremely generic and basically just said that the evaluations would take place. Then, when we met to discuss the results, half of the areas of concern were not addressed. What do I do?
So the problem is you signed consent for something that wasn't detailed. So that's why when I send in a request for evaluation, I email it prior to the meeting so that we're all clear that I want these 8 things. Number 1, a speech and language evaluation to include pragmatic. Number 2, medical physical. Number 3, sociological. Number 4, an IQ test to include all 7 Gs. Number 5, adaptive behavior. Number 6, formal achievement to include reading, writing, math, OE, oral expression, listening comprehension. A full psychological evaluation to include but not limited to teacher rating skills and FBA consideration for all 3 neurological conditions, AU, ADHD, and ED. And then, of course, any related or instructional service. But because you didn't send it in with specificity, people get junk evaluations. And so if there's part of the evaluation they didn't complete, I would request that they open up an addendum and complete those parts that they haven't done. And then if there's parts of the evaluation they've done that I don't agree with, then you can certainly request an IE in those areas that have been already completed by the district.
Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I felt like that was a rapid fire answer.
It was. You did great. I'm very proud of you. It's going to be a perfect video. So proud. Shannon, do you have some in the bucket or do you want me to take it?
In the bucket. Shannon has a bucket.
We have a lot of going.
I like Shannon's little cap sleeves. I'm just saying. Very cute.
Shannon's always cute.
She's always cute.
Okay. How long for testing to occur after the parent letter requesting testing in all areas?
So requesting testing doesn't mean testing is started. So they have 15 school days in most locations to respond to either grant or decline. And so we look forward to coming in and signing notice and consent is what I would say in my email after I said, hey, school, dear staff, this is my formal request for my student to have special education testing, areas of suspected disability or learning, attention, behavior, emotional, social, language. We look forward to coming in and signing notice and consent.
Amazing. You did that amazingly. Okay. Is it okay for a teacher to ask a student if they need their test read to them from across the room?
Not if it's on their 504 IEP. That would be isolating them and discriminatory. So if you just want to ask a general ed student, hey, you want your test read to you? Then they don't really have any legal protections because they're a general education student.
Okay. How do I go about learning everything and being an advocate for families?
Sure. So we have join us in the Academy. And Alicia, how could they join the Academy?
Oh, I'll tell you right now, Karen. So what these lovely people are going to do is they're going to go to our website, which is www.specialeducationacademy.com. And then they're going to go to our training tab across the top. And you're going to click on that. And you're going to scroll down until you see the Academy. And then you're going to click on there. You're going to fill out all your information to join up. Yes, your credit card information. However, there's a box. And it says coupon code, ? You're going to click on that. And you're going to put in the box in all caps, TikTok Live. Those are with K's, not C's. I'm going to spell it for you right now. That is T as in Timothy, I as for Indigo, K as in Karen, T as in Timothy, O as in Oliver, K as in Karen, L as in living, I as in Indigo, V as in victory, E as in elephant. I don't know why I said living, but it's TikTok Live, all caps, and you're going to get the Academy for 15 days for free. And it starts in 7 minutes, so you should join now. If you need a visual of how to do that, because I said a lot in a short amount of time, just go to Karen's TikTok page. There's a pinned video at the top. It's got step-by-step instructions for you. If you're struggling, that's okay. Just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And then you're going to have those 15 days free. After that, what happens? Well, you can stick for $47 a month, and we have over 300 hours of trainings already available that you can watch. And then, after that, if you say, okay, well, I need to take a break, that's okay too. We can pause your account or cancel it at any time. No worries.
And thanks, you guys, for all the love and the badges and the hearts and the roses. We loved you guys right back.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do 2 more, and then we've got to get ready for the Academy.
Did you ask them for emojis? Because I need the emojis.
I asked for emojis. I can only do so much.
Okay.
You know what?
Oh, there we go. Here they go. Here they go. Woo! Thank y'all.
I just, we know how we love to, bark.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes.
You know how we love to do that?
Yes.
Derry sure does love your wig, Karen.
Oh.
I also love it as well.
You like my wig? Thank you. Actually, I was looking at a wig last night on TikTok. It was $2,250. I was like, I'll just keep my wig I got.
You know what? That wig looks so good it grows right out of your head.
Right out. Yeah.
Just grows right out. Okay, what if a child is afraid of the general classroom and only wants to stay in the special ed classroom?
Well, I would find out what they're afraid of. No, it's not a wig. This is not. Now, if you're like, is that a wig? Yes, and if you go to Special Education Academy, we have Karen Mayer Cunningham wigs. We actually should sell this wig. We should sell this wig. It's not.
You know what? We should make a shirt that says, "Is it a wig?" with just your hair on it. Is it a wig? Anyways, okay, back to this. My child is behind 2 years due to COVID, and they want to put him in an SCD class. I don't think that's fair. What should I do?
I don't disagree with you. Unfortunately, schools do not have an obligation to take in really consideration of the loss of time of COVID because it affected every single student in America.
Amen to that. Okay, everybody, it's not a wig. I've literally seen her first thing in the morning before a 2-day.
And it's huge. If you saw it in the morning, it is, as my grandson says, Gigi, your hair is electric like mine. It is electric. I do a lot of things to make it go down. But let me just tell you, I crushed the 80s. Yeah. Somebody asked how they become an advocate, Alicia.
How do they become an advocate, Karen? You want me to tell them?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you know right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to email me because I have all the links already available for you. So it's advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. But the best way to become an advocate is by starting with our 2-day intensive advocacy training. We just had one this weekend. We had 27 people registered. It was amazing. Lots of great questions. We don't have one scheduled right now, but we always have our on-demand available. Again, you're going to go to www.specialeducationacademy.com. You're going to click on that training tab, but this time you're going to scroll down until you see our on-demand training for 2-day intensive advocacy. You're going to click on that anytime, whenever you're ready. Purchase it. You'll have it forever. Get yourself trained just like that. We will have some 2 days virtual and coming up next year. They're just not scheduled yet. Once you have completed that 2-day training, you're going to want to take the mastermind if you want to do this as a career. It is 20 hours of intensive training on the law and everything it takes to be an advocate professionally in this field. So if you would like more information and more detailed information with links and everything, just go ahead and email us. Like I said, I have all that readily available for you. I will answer any of your questions. I started out as a special education teacher, took her trainings. We kind of fell in love with each other, so then I became her assistant. But I did take all the trainings and advocate. I'm a better advocate for my children, and I do advocate for families in California, and I love them. If they're here, I love you guys.
So let me just answer a question. An amazing special education director just asked a question, and she said, what would you want me to know? I would want you to know that you have to start giving rigorous training to boots on the ground. Our general ed teachers, our special education teachers, and our paraprofessionals and our related instructional service providers love children, and they know zero about IDEA. They know zero about state guidelines. They know zero about daily collecting data on IEP goals and other sections of the IEP. They want to know, but we don't take the time to give them separate and specific trainings under their duties and responsibilities. If you do that, you would make their life easier, and just like my mission statement, we would get it right for the child, and then we would get it right for everybody.
All right, we love you all, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Wait, next week?
Wait. Ma'am.
She ma'amed me.
What, are we not going to see him next Tuesday night?
I thought we were going to see him in 2 minutes.
In the academy? Let me finish what I'm saying, Karen.
She's had a very intense couple of weeks, so we're giving her a little bit of rope.
I have had a very intense day. My son had 105 fever at 8 o'clock this morning, but he's doing great. Thanks for all the prayers.
Yes.
So what I was going to say is, we'll see you all on our TikTok Live next week. If you submitted questions and we didn't get to them, I will save them and read them next week. However, you're welcome to join us in the academy and ask them there. Again, always submit your questions via email, and we will get to as many of them as we can in the live, but we do want to honor the people in the comments and read as many of those questions as we can as well. Okay. We love you guys.
We love you. Remember, get it right for the child. We get it right for everybody. We'll see you guys in the next training.